Hey, what's up, guys? Tim Rexius here again, and this is how to make an operating agreement online. Remember, again, if you're going to like, follow, share all my channels, go to timrexius.com, links to YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes. Again, Tim Rexius, President and CEO of Rexius Nutrition, Vital Health International, and Iron Heaven Gyms. So a big question I get quite often, especially after we made the last video on how to create an LLC online, is I need this thing called an operating agreement. And a lot of people don't know what that is. Even single member LLCs are required to have one. Even 10 years ago, to get a business bank account, you really need an operating agreement if you were a single owner LLC. But now you do. It's just one of those documents. Now you can pay for it. There's a lot of services online. We're going to show you Rocket Lawyer, which a lot of you guys know, follow my channel. This is something I use a lot for legal stuff without having to go to an attorney. There's a few of the ones I found online as well. And it's kind of come prudent right now as we're looking at combining some of our different LLCs and S corps as we're growing big. We have lots of possibilities of IPOs and all sorts of stuff later in the future. These operating agreements really come in play. Doesn't seem like a big deal when you first start, and it's just you and a buddy, or you and two buddies, or whatever, to start a business. But if things start going really well, buying somebody out, or maybe you let too much of an investor, somebody you got to help start the business, you gave them a little too much leeway, and you want a way to get them out, take a bit more control of your company back, whatever it may be, stock restrictions. There's a lot of things that go in these operating agreements, but it basically says this is how much money somebody put in, this is what their rights are. This is who can sign contracts on behalf of the company. So let's say it's just you and you have a minority member of the LLC, and they go sign a contract that your company's behests to, that's a problem. So this is where these governing contracts come in. If somebody wants to get out, and it's how long they have to get bought out, how they get bought out, at what value, all those kind of things. So they're very useful to have, but even for you single member LLCs, you're gonna have to have them anyway. So go to the computer here, and here we are on Rocket Lawyer, which a lot of you guys have seen me use before. And it's just pretty simple. Just type in operating agreement, LLC operating agreement, single member LLC operating agreement, a little bit different, a little bit more simplified. Can be considered a pass-through entity in a lot of ways, but let's say we're in Nebraska. You want to do whatever state you're operating in. We'll start a new one. Let's just make up a Joe's Lawn Care. Joe and his buddy decided to start a business. Somebody had the truck and trailer, and the other guy had the equipment. This is going to kind of define that type of relationship. But defining what state does what is the key. So basically, your primary business address, the same address you're going to be registered to when it comes to your LLC formation, is traditionally where you want to go, wherever your registered agent office address is, or if you have a separate registered agent, wherever you're actually conducting business. But we'll just do 123 Main Street again. Pretty simple. Zip. I don't like you one of my emails in there, but 4, and you can get a different mailing address if you want to. Effective date. I don't know why it keeps doing this autofill, but let's say we needed to start the 1st from the day we started the company, so we go ahead and go next. Purpose. Basically what we do, we mow lawns. I mean, honestly, if you need to have your purpose of your operating agreement, if you're planning on getting into eventually, landscaping or concrete work, put it in there. It gives you that possibility for the membership. Let's say you put my name in. And let's say I brought in like we said, we brought in, the contribution was truck and trailer. Sometimes it's sweat equity. Somebody else is financing the business, but you're actually running the business. Let's say I think those are worth $8,000. And we'll leave it at that. And then you can go back to the name and address of your registered agent, which remember was me on our previous video. All things that needs to govern the business. operate indefinitely? Is there an operating agreement? How long it will end? This comes into play a lot of times if you have a specific buyout time period. Let's say like, hey, help me start this company. You get to own everything. I'll buy you out in 5 years or whatever the new value is. That's your advantage. That's your out. It's also my out if I'm doing a lot of work. There's a lot of value. Some people may want to sign it, may not want to sign it. It just depends. And that's the thing is if you're going to add new members, which has happened to us. We started, one of my best partners and I started Vital Health International. We allowed one of our employees at the time to buy in an equal third. This operating agreement governs how that happens. You may want a lot of new people come in. You may want some venture capital to come in. Let's say you get the chance to really expand and it's capital intensive and you can't get the loans. I deal with this all the time. Banks never want to give me money for the things I want to do. So we bring in a venture capitalist. Somebody wants to buy the land or building or whatever for us to do the project we want. So, and it's either equal voting powers to each member. If you own 60% and there's 4 of the members that own 10%, I would not. But I'd be voting power proportional to each of the members' percentage of interest in the LLC. There are some people that, let's say a venture capitalist would say, well, I'm going to give you $1 million for 20% of your company. I'm not going to do any work, but I want equal voting power because it's my money. That's a standard process, honestly, in my opinion. So we'll go with that. Distribution frequency. If we decided to distribute profits, I would say usually quarterly basis. So you'll do an annual and member managed. By their member or managers. It can go either way. I usually say member managed personally, just because as members of the LLC that we manage the business at this point in time. Fiscal year ends always going to be December 31st. Corporate traction from IRS, at this point, no, will be a pass-through entity. You can always subchapter S election. You can remove your subchapter S election. There's a lot of things you can do with businesses. We'll get that in there. Now, like I said before, they have this $39.99 a month membership where you get a lot of these documents for free just because you're paying the monthly fee. It's not something I do terribly often. If I got to the point where I was doing at least one of these a month, I had a lot of contracts. I had, bid contracts, purchase contracts, vendor contracts. Sure, it might make some sense, and I do like this platform. I just buy the document personally. Cool thing about Rocket Lawyer, like I told you before, is you can drop their email in for your operating business partners. It sends it to them a lot like DocuSign or Adobe Sign does. They sign it, it's saved, it's certified, it's time-stamped, and you've got it in your file. You get notifications when they've been signed, when they haven't. I typed in the search engine on Google, just create an operating agreement. Of course, you get the ads, Rocket Lawyer and LegalZoom, legal contracts now, which actually it says free operating agreement. Just to show you guys. We'll say yes, it's operating Nebraska. Company name, Joe's Lawn Care, LLC. Address, 123 Main Street. I need to fill this out for this website, so yes, professional services, lawn mowing. We're just going to skip past a lot of these. You can see this, and this is legalcontracts.com. You put all your information, add the members, same as we did in the last website. And you can get down to the contributions. This is key. Like Larry Smith goes, I'm going to do all the work. I'm going to run the business, and that's my contribution, and I'm going to do it for the XYZ amount. Cool. You need to describe it, because let's say they don't meet their end of the bargain, but all it says in there, they're going to help run the business. Well, what's the definition of them running the business versus you? I mean, in my opinion, you're living and breathing that business 6-7 days a week. If somebody calls in sick, you're the guy, right? Where some people are like, oh no, I work 9 to 5. I'm the boss. That's, the difference. That's, if you get in my podcast videos, you'll understand the difference of what I mean by that. But some people think being the boss is doing the least amount of work, where being an ownership mentality, as I call it, is one who always takes the buck, who works at 60, 70 hours. So describe it in there in explicit detail, because you need to know. Could additional contribution need in the future? Great question. Stock calling, there's a lot of different terms for it, but let's say, things happen with the business and you have to go and buy a new lawnmower and there's no cash. Is that supposed to be up to one member? Is there a rule for this? Does this entire, let's say you both need $2,500 for a new 0-turn big, monster lawnmower. The other guy, your partner, isn't very good with his money, and the business doesn't have the cash because it gets paid out to owners. This needs to be decided. So yes, and will new members be allowed in the future? Sure. A vote is required. Majority. I really like this site now that I've been playing around with it. Have meetings, all those kind of things. I have an S corp, bigger, so we do have quarterly meetings, annual meetings. Same question as the last one, based on their vote. Now, see, this is the one. How will the company be classified for tax purposes? Disregarded entity or corporation? Now, disregarded entity means that this option is available to an LLC that has one member. It's a pass-through. So if my S corporation or my LLCs own another LLC, and it's just for the name of it, it's the ability for me to sell it off and spin it off into a different company, but I'm really operating all the capital through my main business anyways. I just started a new brand or something like that. This is usually the portion of disregarded entities. C corporations have disregarded entities, LLCs, S corps, everybody can have a disregarded entity as long as it's a single operator. So let's say 10 shareholders own part of Rexius Nutrition Inc. We don't have that many, but we're a big company. And VHI is just one of our brands, but it's that can be considered a disregarded entity. You consider it a trademark too, but it has its own LLC, and Rexius Nutrition Inc. is the single member of that LLC. So everything passes directly into my books regardless. That would be the reason. So we'll do this one as a corporation, just because we have members. You dissolve a member leaves? No. I mean, it depends if you wanted to. Are members allowed to sell their shares to non-members? This is what they call a stock restriction. Now, these can get very detailed. I would say, for me personally, no, I don't want people buying shares in my companies until I'm ready to go public. I want to know who I'm involving myself in business. Let's say you bring in a partner and you guys all see eye to eye, and he's a third owner. So each person owns 33%, and he does something stupid with his money, meets somebody new and runs off to Mexico, whatever, and then they sell their shares to a competitor in town that you literally despise. And now you have a hostile work environment. So I would say new. That's just me. So I'll give you the option to buy out your own partners. So I think everyone should get cash flow statements, income statements, balance sheets, profit and loss. You got to keep your business on the up and up. So this is another one. Who has the authority to bind the company in a contract? And let's say it's just me, because I don't want them to lock me into something that I disagree with. Will each member have a duty not to compete with the business of the company? Yes. I'd say for at least a year leaving. Let's say you're doing, if you start a lawn mowing business and he leaves like the next month and takes all of your business, like there needs to be a non-competition clause. Traditionally, I don't do it with my part-time staffers who are just purely employees, but I do it with business partners. So, I'll go back to that, sorry. Unanimous consent of the members is required for which of the following actions: a sale, merger, sale, loan, any company property, release any claim or debt owed to the company, modify the rights, obligations of any member. Those are standard. Yes, everyone needs to agree. And I'd say no. And then no witnesses needed for this signature. It's signing today. And here you go. I mean, so the thing, it's pretty, it's legit. It's the draft. And here's where he gets the more annoying part of some of these websites. I really do like this site, though. You select a license, and now you have to pay for it. So is it really free? No, you get to walk through it for free, which is pretty cool. But you can do your pro license, put as many documents as you needed. That's a pretty good deal. In fact, we're gonna go ahead and trademark this site. I might end up using this bad boy, but you can have also a trial subscription, which is free for 1 week. Renews at $33 a month after trial ends. Blah blah blah. I played those. You got to be real on the ball on those bad boys to make sure you don't get charged. But 5-year access for $39. This is actually one of the cheapest sites I've ever seen. But anyways, it's a good website. An operating agreement is now part of business. Always prepare yourself, even if it's a small side gig, that this might be that thing. My grandfather used to say there's a million ways to make $1 million. Just pick one and frickin' go. I'm going to tell you there's a million ways to make $1 million, so pick 7 and go. 7 streams of income is the way to wealth. So, and I hope every one of these could be the next big thing. I've had a lot of things that have not been the next big thing, but I've had 5 or 6 that have been. And so these documents not written correctly, and I know this from personal experience, can raise a lot of headache, a lot of money. Lawyers love it because they get paid a lot to try to hassle out, and so do CPAs, and so does the IRS, because there's a lot of taxable events that can happen when transferring ownership or merging companies or buying out members. So anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. If you got more questions, drop us comments, drop us emails, go to timrexius.com, check out all the videos, share with your friends. That's the only fee for this stuff. Share knowledge, and go out there and take today and kick it square in the ass.